Okay guys, this is the moment we've all been waiting for. The Flash season finale of Season 7 review slash The Flash season review. So this finale has a lot of anticipation because the previous episode held quite a bit of momentum. So that's pretty crazy. But here's the thing with this episode, right? So Flash season finale, this has pros and cons. Seeing all the speedsters, including Nora, be their lightning rod and basically give them all energy, and see Bart and all the speedsters do cool things like ninja throwing stars using the Speed Force, and something else cool that's in the finale was definitely pretty cool. The Allegra storyline, even though we needed her for one scene in this episode, was kind of pointless and weak. I don't really understand the character. I don't really see what the appeal is. I don't understand why she is here. She just kind of feels like a wannabe Captain Marvel with her strength and what she does. It's kind of disappointing to see that that's the inevitable outcome. The Godspeed stuff is pretty good. I feel that Godspeed in the end was not a worthy adversary on the Flash compared to the previous ones. Like, he wasn't that threatening except for the scene with the people on the bridge. The Kramer storyline, which we'll talk about in the season review, hasn't been amazing, so it's pretty interesting that she can manipulate other meta abilities. So that's interesting, seeing her being a meta, seeing how much she stands on being anti-meta for so much. But it's okay, because that's just the way it is. Yeah, so all the pieces for a finale. Episode had some really weird writing, really bad dialogue this season, which we'll talk about in the season review in the second half of this video. But the number one thing to get out of the way is the end. We get to see Nora and Iris, Speedster Iris I should say, we get to see the two of them come together and bring Earbard to come help Barry, which was a welcome surprise. You know, like Palpatine says, a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one, right? And inside this, we get to see a speedster battle, which is something we've not seen in a long time, which was a great, considering the last few seasons there's been some pretty mediocre finales, and we haven't had speedster villains. But this time it was pretty cool, because we got to see, now this scene has quite a bit of controversy and criticism behind it, so we got to see all of them. Godspeed calls down lightning, which is pretty cool, and he summons himself, basically his very own version of like a white lightning lightsaber, basically. And we have very Phantom Menace vibes as Barry and Reverse Flash are fighting Godspeed. And what was cool to have the battle and the speedster stuff, one of the biggest problems is, even though Barry received training from Oliver, he never trained him with swords in the time that he trained him. So the fact that Barry is able to be so pro with it, and Reverse Flash, he's been around for years, so I can kind of understand that he might have had sword training, but there could have been some scene explaining that he had training, because this was ridiculous. If visually, the fight was cool. Story-wise, it makes no sense how Barry and Reverse Flash are basically like pro ninjas, like Oliver would be. Like, that's why when Oliver fought Reverse Flash in Season 1, it made sense, because Oliver has far better combat skills than RF. Like, that's just crazy that they're able to, like, fair enough, he can beat Godspeed, because even though he's been practicing, he's a wannabe speedster, he's not nearly as powerful as Barry or Reverse Flash. So, but still, being able to hold the zone against those, that's where I have a negative. So I'm going to say that for a negative point off, even though it's cool, and it was awesome to see, I have to be a little critical, because it doesn't fit into the storyline, and it just doesn't make a lot of sense without explanation. Then we get to the West Allen vows renewal. I had no problem with them getting vows renewed. What I did have a problem is Jordan's song should have, not Jordan, Jordan Fisher sings in the season finale, and the issue with that is when he sings, it feels like his actor Jordan Fisher rather than it being Bart Allen. If Bart was going to sing, he should have sang Running Home to You, which is Barry and Iris' song. The song that he sang was a cover of something else, and don't get me wrong, Jordan Fisher's a very talented singer. There's lots of talented people on The Flash. They do a very good job with their singing parts, especially in the musical crossover. But this was a different exception. Like, it kind of took you out of the episode because, like, oh, Jordan Fisher's singing in a Flash episode. Okay. I mean, it just was one of those things. Good singing, kind of felt out of place. The ending doesn't really have any cliffhanger setting up season 8, even though we do know the crossover is going to be the first half of the next season. But we do know the Reverse Flash will return because he gets away, of course, after Barry gets full speed and finally beats Reverse Flash the way that people were expecting to see him get beaten, which is a big positive for me in this episode, which we'll talk about in the season review. So this was pretty good. I'd say this finale, even with my criticisms, it's a solid 7 out of 10. I have a lot of problems with it, but there's a lot of things I enjoy as well. So I hope you guys liked my review on the season finale. We're going to review the season now. Okay, so starting from the first arc, so continuing off of the season 6 ended arc, which I thought season 6 was pretty good. The best episode of the season was actually the end of season 2, which was the episode of episode 2 this season, and episode 2, which was actually more like the second half episode for season 6's finale, which was pretty cool. Was awesome. We got Speedster Frost, and that you've seen my review on that. You know I liked that. It was pretty good. It was the only 10 out of 10 Flash episode this entire season, so that's telling you something. And then the Mirror storyline was kind of mediocre, probably like a 3 or 4. Sloppy editing, just didn't feel like it fit very well. And then, after we got done with that, the true season 7 started. We got done with the Mirror Master stuff, and we carried into this Forces storyline. And, well, it started out with promise. It was horrible, guys. You have middle-aged people being called mommy and daddy when this actor's 47 years old and Grant is in his 30s and Iris is around her 30s. It just feels weird, guys. It felt weird. Very weird. And the writing this entire season was abysmal. It was horrifying. It was awful. I cannot even begin to imagine how crazy bad this show's writing was this season. And there was good episodes, but there's a lot of mediocre episodes. And then, after we were done with the Forces storyline, which the finale of the Forces storyline was, it was bad. It was even worse than the previous 2 episodes. And so then, we get into the next arc. And in that arc, we start to slowly do the Godspeed episode. But we have these filler episodes. And they gave an episode where there was no Flash team members whatsoever. It was just Chester and Allegra and Ultraviolet. And Chester's a great character. I really enjoyed Chester. But also before, we're also going to talk about Cisco's goodbye episode. We're going to save that after this. So yeah, so we had these filler episodes. Super bad. Dealt with the bond between Allegra and Ultraviolet. Super bad, guys. It was horrible. I couldn't believe how terrible it was. It was just abysmal. So that was a slap in the face. The other fillers were alright, but that was the worst filler for sure. Because it was just all Allegra, all about Allegra, Allegra's problems, Allegra's this. Yeah, I don't care. It pissed me off. Right. So then we also have the episode, the Sister Goodbye episode was pretty good. It was one of the other stronger episodes because we got to say goodbye to a beloved character. Even though he did return for the last 2 episodes, it was cool that he got a proper send-off because he's been there since season 1, and that was important. The Trial of Killer Frost had some pretty good stuff. I really enjoyed her bond with Chillblaine. I think Chillblaine and her have a lot in common, and they're pretty cool characters. I like how he's referenced. I think his fight scenes are pretty cool, being similar to Roy. It's pretty cool. I like how he manipulates his powers. Very good. All the Kramer stuff and the Joe stuff, thumbs down, boring. Wasn't a fan of it. So without further ado, we've covered every arc, including the Godspeed arc. So the War for the Godspeeds started out very promising, then it was still pretty promising, and then it fell flat because Godspeed isn't that terrifying. If you're a fan of the character, I don't think this is what you would have wanted to see. I know COVID played a role in some of the fight scenes, but the story writing, it needed to be tighter, it needed to be better. I hope season 8 is really better because this really saddens me that this is another one of the worst seasons of The Flash. So, rankings for Season of The Flash. It goes Season 1, Season 2, Season 6, season 4, then it would be, yeah, season 4, then season 3, then season 7, then season 5. It was absolutely abysmal. Like, that would have to be the order. Season 7 and 3 are both pretty bad. 3 had some promise. This season had a lot to live up to, and it didn't fulfill any of it. Overall, season 7 is a 6 out of 10. I can't give it any higher score. It's better than season 3, at least a little bit towards the end, but not by much. It's one of the mediocre seasons. It has bad writing. It could be redeemed in season 8 if we get a proper season, but it's not Arrow season 4 bad, but it's pretty bad. Writing decision, it almost goes in that direction. The dialogue is the main part. The dialogue is atrocious, horrible. I enjoyed parts of Batwoman season 2 more than this, and Batman season 2 had some problems too. But both these shows really suffered, and this show really did suffer. And I hope you guys enjoyed my video. We'll talk more about Flash in another video. Have a good day, guys. Talk to you soon.